What's up, guys? It is Wednesday morning. It's time for another 5 for 5. This week in our readings for Ironworks, we came across a really cool passage in 1 Peter 2 that was especially timely. And so I want to share that passage with you guys this morning, and then some kind of the conversation that we had at Ironworks, and ultimately what we took away from this section of Peter's letter. So let's jump right in with the reading first. It starts in 1 Peter 2, verse 18. It says, "Servants, be subject to your masters with all respect, not only to the good and the gentle, but also to the unjust. For there is a gracious thing when, mindful of God, one endures sorrows while suffering unjustly. For what credit is it if when you sin and are beaten for it, you endure? But if when you do good and suffer for it, you endure, this is a gracious thing in the sight of God. For to this you have been called, because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example so that you might follow in his steps." Now, what Peter is encouraging us to do here, guys, is to be a faithful person to those that are in authority over us, even when they treat us poorly. Now, of course, I'm sure you guys are jumping to like all the political ties and that kind of stuff right now. And it's hard to avoid political tie-ins with the things going on in Georgia right now, with so many political ads and radio station things and mailers, all that stuff we're getting bombarded with. But you know, it's more than just a political point. We're going to have bosses in life that don't treat you fairly and are supposed to endure those situations. It could be a family member that puts you down or treats you poorly. You still have to endure that as well. It's easy to take the punishment when you've done something wrong. You kind of expect it, right? You know it's coming. But when you are doing the right thing and you still get punished for it, that is when we have a chance to let Jesus shine through our lives. Now, as we close out this part of the letter, Peter drops a pretty hard truth on us. And this is what really stuck in all of our minds this morning when we were talking at Ironworks. In verse 21, he says, "For to this you have been called." Now, I'm not going to speak for all of you guys, but when I first found Jesus for myself back in high school, the person that had graciously shared the gospel with me did not give me the fine print that we just read in 1 Peter 2. There are not a whole lot of evangelism plans that include letting the person know that they're being called to a life of mistreatment and punishment. But it should come as no surprise, right? Look at the lives of the apostles we find in the early church. They were persecuted for bringing the gospel to a desperate people. Jesus himself was even crucified as an innocent man, but that was God's plan all along, and we're so thankful for that. I think too many times, guys, we don't remember that a life surrender to Jesus is going to come with adversity. It's part of the call. There are great things like forgiveness and hope and grace. But there's tough parts of that call as well, like sacrifice and solitude and even persecution for doing the right thing. We can't separate the two. Both are part of the full experience of being a Christian. So guys, as we wrap up 2020 and we move into 2021 with whatever it holds, when you find yourself getting hassled for your beliefs or the good that you are trying to do, think back to the passage in 1 Peter 2 and smile, just a little smile, knowing that you guys are facing that persecution because of the difference that Christ is making through your life. If you weren't changing things, guys, you wouldn't be drawing any attention to yourself. When you come under fire for doing good things, it's because you're pushing back the darkness, and the enemy doesn't like that. So guys, be strong, endure, and give God the glory for all that he's going to do through you. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week as we move closer to Christmas, and I am so excited for some time with family in the next week. So we'll see you guys soon.